Tonight, Lawrence loses one of its most distinctive features. Southland gets ready to fly its own flag. And a rare summer bloom into a tapiri that took 25 years to flower. Good evening. A 4-hour meeting in Invercargill this afternoon failed to resolve a dispute which has kept the Drummond School closed since the start of the year. The New Zealand Education Institute banned its members from teaching there after the principal was forced to resign because the school committee disapproved of his teaching methods. But NZEI representative Neville Lambert says progress was made today and they'll meet Southland Education Board again tomorrow. One of Central Otago's most photographed stands of trees has disappeared. The silver birches lining the road into Lawrence have been cut down, changing a view that's existed since the turn of the century. George Burke went to find out why.
The trees have been admired by travellers through Central Otago since the horse and cart days. But they had to go as the National Roads Board is widening the road and putting in drains. The roots would have had to be cut anyway, and many of the trees had disease. Although locals were sorry to see the trees go, there was no petition to save them. It seems most were resigned to the fact.
Well, disappointment really, but they've accepted it. Early last year, we sent out a circular to the townspeople explaining what was happening, and, they were sorry to see them go, but realised that, really the time had come to do something with them. The replanting will take place after the winter, July, August of this year. We will be replanting. When you look at what they done in Oamaru a few years ago, it doesn't take long, really, for the trees to get established again.
So it shouldn't be too long before Lawrence has its avenue of trees back, and autumn will once again attract the shutterbugs.
A competition to give Southland a distinctive and symbolic image has brought in 130 entries. They've all had a go at designing a Southland flag. Peter Cruikshank's been in on the early judging.
Images of Southland's farming community, seascapes, sheep and, of course, people are reflected in the variety of designs that the competition's attracted. What the judges were looking for is a symbol which can be identified as distinctively Southland. It's part of a project to promote the province and attract new business. Local artist and radio personality John Husband had a good idea of what he was looking for.
That really grabs me.
The three judges, including Lena Metcalf, an arts and crafts tutor, and architect Peter Baxter, went through the reams of entries, drawing up a short list.
We've had a large range of entries, obviously from all age groups, and people have thought very deeply about the subject of the Southland flag. I must admit the design we are looking for has to be bold and unique and sum up this part of the world.
They'll continue to think about their choices for another few days. Meanwhile, there are plans afoot to display the entries during Invercargill's Festival Week.
Architect Peter Baxter talking with Peter Cruikshank, an interesting competition. And Queenstown's trying to change its image as an expensive holiday destination. Hundreds of dollars will be slashed from airfares and accommodation costs in May and June by operators worried by the slowdown in tourism. Alan Brady reports on their $500,000 campaign.
Kilometre for kilometre, airfares to Queenstown have long been the most expensive in the country. And with standard room rates at the top hotels running at around $200 a night, there's been growing concern the resort's developing an exclusive image. It hasn't stopped visitors coming. They still roll up in their thousands. But numbers haven't increased quickly enough to fill the extra beds provided during the building boom of the past few years. As a result, the discount signs have been appearing outside many hotels. And now it's official. Ansett New Zealand and the major hotels and motels have got together to slash hundreds of dollars off fares and accommodation in May and June this year. But they say it's not a desperation measure.
No, I don't think it indicates that at all. I think it's probably fair to say no matter what the tourist destination is, there are peaks and troughs.
Queenstown people also hope the campaign will help to reinforce the town's position as a year-round resort. The success of winter promotion has meant that many Australians and North Islanders think of it only as a ski resort.
Well, long term, I hope that we can add to people's perception that it's just not a ski resort. Queenstown is an all-year-round place with things to do all year round, with lots of activities that are not just centred around skiing.
There was a time when Queenstown put up the shutters in May and June for a well-earned rest before the skiers arrived. But this year, most businesses will stay open. In difficult times, the prospect of 60,000 extra bed nights being generated by the cut-price off-season packages for many could mean the difference between survival and financial disaster.
Shearing sheep is not the way most of us would choose to spend a sweltering midsummer's day. But some southern shearers seem infected just now with a bug that keeps them flat out in wool sheds for more than just the money. Gaynor Smith found one gang pushing their bodies to the very limit, all for the sake of a tally in the record book.
Set, go!
That countdown to start shearing is the obvious sign this gang's doing more than an ordinary day's work in Mararoa Station's wool shed. They're after 2 world records in northern Southland. Each wants the individual title Stephen Dodds won at Edivale Station down the road 2 weeks earlier, the world record for adult ewes. And as a gang they want an impressive tally, because no one's put up a 3-stand record since the rules were standardised. Their total will become what's up for challenge later. Riversdale shearing contractor Stephen Dodds got his record with 604 ewes. The man who beats that needs to average 51 seconds a sheep over 9 hours. The likeliest seems Neil St George from the King Country. He's held world records before, and he's been around here in training for a while. Swampy Roland from Fairlie, South Canterbury, is less experienced on the face of it. But no one knows what reserves anyone will summon up in today's charged atmosphere. Team veteran, Chatham Islander John Huff, lives in Canterbury now, but they all know Huffy for his earlier years of shearing around Southland. What the trio have going for them is determination with backup from friends, acting like boxing ring seconds during breaks. You can practically feel the encouragement in the air. Against them, the size of Mararoa Station ewes. These Perrindale Romney crosses weigh 65 to 70 kilos. They're heavier than those Stephen Dodds set the record on. Today, the Riversdale shearing contractor's in John Huff's corner, helping him. When Huff himself was a shearing contractor in Riversdale, Dodds was a youngster off a farm.
Oh, well, he taught me how to shear, so come to try to help him as much as I could. So don't know if I've done any good, though.
Well, it sounds as if the two of you go a long way back.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
They started at 5 in the morning. By mid-afternoon, sheep are still coming on and off the board at a rattling pace, yet still well done. 3 judges see to that.
We just count out every half hour, assess each count out, look for any bad cuts or that.
The record rule book says ewes must have 3 kilo fleeces. These average 3.6, well above the requirement. And inside, they just keep coming.
Really tough, actually. They're fairly big. Big for a record, I think.
Pity I want another 3 foot taller. It's stronger like my mates here. Probably be all right.
Care to make any predictions, or is that a silly question?
Yeah, maybe at the moment.
At this stage, they're running for 1,600 for a 3-gang record, which is no mean achievement.
In fact, the final tally was 1,593. The fastest man, Neil St George, was 31 sheep behind the Dodds record, which still stands. And now everyone's asking, when's the next record attempt?
Still a pretty good effort. It wasn't quite fairies at the bottom of the garden for a Western Southland woman this week, but nature certainly had its surprises for her. Michael Lynch reports.
It's navy blue with orangey coloured flowers, very sticky in there.
And this is what Mabel King's talking about. An exotic metre-high flower that burst up from its flaxy base after lying dormant more than 25 years in a forgotten corner of a garden. She's had more than 100 locals in to gaze at it, and they've all gone away scratching their heads.
I don't know the name of it, but I would like, if anyone did know, that they would tell me.
But we've found an answer. Dunedin's Botanic Gardens has a big South American section, and curator Mick Rees can point to a similar plant here, if without the flowers. The Tuatapere triffid, in fact, is a Puya, a hill country plant from Chile. It's the same family as the pineapple, and similar plants have been around New Zealand for some time. But it's unusual to find one flowering as far south as this.
Should carry on flowering for some weeks. Obviously, if we get some very cold weather or exceedingly hot weather, it will shorten the life of the plant.
And unless there's another dry summer, it may be another 25 years before Mabel King's prized Puya shows its blooms again.
And it's probably just as well the Puya put in its appearance before the current cool snap. Most of today's temperatures were again below average, but at least we all made it into double figures. Half Moon Bay was cloudy with 14 degrees. Invercargill partly cloudy, 13. Expecting a high tomorrow, much better, 18 degrees. Gore partly cloudy and 11. Balclutha showers, 13. Dunedin showers and 11 with 17 the high for tomorrow. Palmerston sunny, 15. Oamaru partly cloudy, 16. Ranfurly windy and 13. Queenstown partly cloudy, 14. Wanaka clear, the high of 18. Alexandra fine in 16. And Te Anau sunny, 14 degrees. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night.